The Jeep brand needs to be a luxury brand. I think it needs to have the brand for the rednecks and people like me, and for the luxury. I think there's plenty of room there for both.
Well, there certainly is, and sometimes you can get a little bit lost in chasing profits, I think. And you look at Land Rover, Range Rover. You look at some of these other makers. You look at Mercedes G-Wagons. Go, holy cow, they're $200,000.
At Trails Off Road, we didn't just create an app. You're exploring our passion. Every trail guide and every feature is built in-house by the same enthusiasts who love to off-road as much as you do. No one has trail information like Trails Off Road because no one else verifies every single trail with tires on the dirt. Find your perfect off-road adventure with the detailed trail guides filled with vehicle recommendations, obstacle photos, video advanced difficulty ratings, camping locations, and so much more. Just go to trailsoffroad.com right now, and when you subscribe, use JTS15 for a 15% discount. Help support the companies that help support the show you love, the Jeep Talk Show. Hey, this episode of the Jeep Talk Show is brought to you by Windshield Defense. You know, adventure doesn't wait for a cracked windshield. Windshield Defense by Racing Optics is like a screen protector for your phone. Triple layer, race tested, and installs in just 20 minutes. Save 20% with code JTS20 at windshieldefense.com. The clear choice. Hi, boys and girls. It's time for another Jeep Talk Show interview. We're going to be talking with Tom Zielinski. This is the first time Tom's been on the show. No, I did that with Dan Gregg the other day. I think Dan Gregg's been on the show 5 times, which is fine. I mean, it's neat because it's cool re-interviewing people because they're like old friends. Now, you and I have met on a couple of occasions, 2 or 3 occasions, I believe. And so we actually know each other in person, but it's always fun for me to meet people that I've spoken to here on the show. You know, you get to know somebody virtually, but it's exciting when you get to meet them in person.
Well, I think I would even take that a step further and say it's even more fun when we can be on trail.
Oh, yeah.
So we have that experience because we all belong out on trail at some point, hopefully together, and sharing that experience. So, yeah, it's great to be back. Great to be here. I can't think of the last time I was on, but it's been a little bit. You know, we've done a bunch of stuff, and I see Chris at lots of events, and we always create some fun content at our events and at other people's events, and so it's great to be back, though.
Yeah, Chris likes going to those things, and I'm always very appreciative because it's stuff I can't do. I mean, I just don't live in that area of the world. All right, so Tom, you wrote us an intro. I feel like I really need to read it, even though it's very short. I would suspect that you've never had a conversation this short as this intro is. Lifelong off-road enthusiast, former motocross racer, creator and producer of many off-road and action sports events over the last 25 years. It's 25, but it seems like 35, right? You can find out more about Tom's events at 4festevents.com. That's the number 4, festevents.com. And, you know, Tom, I didn't look it up. When's your next 4Fest event?
So we've got a jam-packed schedule coming up between off-road events and road racing events and all the stuff. But next 4Fest is Detroit 4Fest. That comes up September 5 and 6. And then that's followed, in terms of off-road and Jeep stuff, that's followed on September 26, 27, and 28 with our West Virginia 4Fest event, which is loads and loads of fun, also in a beautiful location. A couple of people last year even said, man, I can't believe they let us come here and off-road in this beautiful spot at Ace Adventure Resort. So it's really awesome.
So, yeah, that's a good point. You say it's a Jeep event. You're a bit of a trader because you don't just do Jeep events. You do all kinds of events. I'm thinking, of course, the Broncos.
I am for sure. If you wish to characterize me as a trader, you can. Just remember, 4Fest events are powered by Jeep, so we're very proud of that, and that's a very long-standing relationship, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
And we're very proud of that. But certainly, we welcome other brands at our events, and in terms of our road racing stuff, obviously, with road racing events, there aren't a whole lot of Jeeps, but breaking news, we are going to have I'll be really careful how I say it. We are going to have some extremely well-known Jeep drivers, particularly a couple from the Ultra 4 space, that will be road racing their very high-performance Jeeps at West Virginia Hill Fest.
Can we get Chris in one of those behind the in the driver's seat, behind the steering wheel?
No, I think not.
Will you be able to? Will you be able to drive one?
Yes.
Well, see, this is not fair.
Correct. No, that's not fair. No. Make no claims about fairness here whatsoever, Tony. No, it's not fair. It's just that
you got the insurance. That's what it is. Chris needs better insurance.
the guys that have these 700 to 900 horsepower off-road racing monsters are pretty finicky about who's in them, and they're not looking to have them upside down on a course.
Okay, I can buy that. I don't know. I bet you Chris would drive it, even though I'm wondering if he'd go, oh no, I can't do that. I'd love it. I would absolutely love it, as long as I made sure that they released liability on me in case anything happened. I love driving fast, so it was horsepower is a bad thing for me to have.
Hillfest is certainly the place to do that, and that's another one where so many people came up, put their arm around my shoulder, and said, "Hey, you're sure we're allowed to do this? Because this feels really, really off.
Oh, like they're letting us." That's exciting when it feels wrong.
Yes, they're letting us take over this beautiful ski resort, and we're doing really cool, high horsepower, fun things. So it's good.
That's really, really cool. So again, the Detroit Tour Fest coming up September what?
5 and 6. So that will be a kickoff on Friday. We do a great thing with Jeep to support some local students and bring a bunch of students out. We're also bringing out a couple of the local colleges in sort of a learn the trades moment to talk with some of our amazing vendors, folks that you know well, like Dana, like the folks at Jeep and many others. And then, of course, one of your good friends, Tyree Off-Road Lighting, is the title sponsor to the Off-Road Night Fest on Friday night. So that's brought to everybody by Tyree Off-Road Lighting, and then straight into the action on Saturday with the addition of a very, very upgraded and new rock climb time trial competition. We kicked it off last year, did it on a small scale. It was really successful. And so this year we're really upping our game on the time trial rock climb competition. And we've added a lot of really hard 10 scale steep rock climb as part of this time trial. So it's going to be a blast.
Mm-hmm. And I'll just say, Tyree Lights is a sponsor, currently a sponsor here on the show for our interview episodes. But I have Tyree Lights on my Gladiator that Ken sent me a couple of years ago, and they are just amazing. And if you are curious about how good the Tyree Lights are, going to Detroit Tour Fest, the Night Fest, is an excellent way to find out. But bring sunglasses with you because they are that bright. They are extremely bright.
Yeah, and I would even go a step further and say there's lights on the market that are bright, no question. There's stuff that's out there. I think one of the things that Tyree brings to the market is that mining and military backdrop, where not only are they bright, but they've got to be burly, tough.
Yes.
Take the abuse. You know, you can drown them, you can bump them and bang them, and they just keep going. And goodness knows.
And so much testing. They do so much internal testing. They have to because of the commercial aspect. I didn't even think about the military side of it, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're subject to a lot of testing. So we think it's great. Certainly, we all know somebody that's really been out in it and they've lost lighting in some faraway place.
That could be critical.
The fun goes away quick.
Yeah, it could be dangerous. I mean, yes. you could be stuck until some sort of daybreak. And we recently had some major flooding in Texas that killed lots of people Could you imagine being in that, trying to evacuate, trying to flee, and because it was in the early morning hours, trying to flee, and now your lights aren't working? So yeah, I mean, it's just like people say about Warn wrenches. Get a Warn winch because it's good. It doesn't mean it always will be, but that's generally the go-to winch to go with, because if you want it to work. And that's the same thing with Tyree lights. I consider Tyree lights right up there with the level of Warn with lights. And also too, they have some really cool things coming out. Ever since Eric has joined, they have been going full balls on new products. And also too, I'll just mention, this isn't a commercial for them. I just really appreciate their support and the lights that I have on the Jeep. They also have $100 lights now. You can get the basic lights. I don't like the name. I think they should call them fancy or store brand, but not basic.
Look, and this was a conversation, as you know, I work with those guys a lot.
Oh, was this your idea? I'm sorry, Tom.
No, not taking credit for anything here. But this has been a conversation for a long time. And there's got to be various price points in the marketplace.
Yes.
And there are some cool things coming out. I'll be careful. But I did get a shipment of some things today, as a matter of fact. Will be
lift with your legs.
Those
things are heavy.
It'll be on my Jeep over the weekend. And so we'll do some testing here coming up, and we're really looking forward to.
So Tom, when you're installing lights on your Jeep, do you point at somebody and say, install those lights?
There's people that help me.
There we go. I thought so.
I'm very grateful. There are people that help me, and I'm grateful for that. But I love jumping in the mix and doing some stuff, and I know how to operate the lifts in the shop, and I do understand all of these things. So I'm not just
that's heaven. I bet you remember back when you didn't have a lift, and that's how much fun in the driveway it was, or on the ground someplace. So let me ask you this. You mentioned Jeep a couple of times. Have you had an opportunity to meet with some of the new Jeep management? I don't know if there's more than one. I'm thinking of one. Bob, I call him Bro Guy because I can't pronounce his last name.
Bob Broderdorf.
Broderdorf, thank you.
Pretty interesting. Bob took on his new position last year, 2 days before Detroit 4Fest. 2 days. So 48 hours later, where is he? He's at Detroit 4Fest doing Jeep off-road things with us and talking to all of these students and interacting with all the people. And it's funny because it's a little bit like, well, I guess jump in the deep end and let's go.
That's great.
And so, very grateful for that level of support and for all the things that Jeep does, but especially the fact that the true believers are always out at our events, and it's great to see them, and a lot of the old school guys, Jim Allen and Nick Kappa, and just the guys that have been around a long time and seen a lot of things are always out there. Our good buddy Greg Henderson obviously is always with us, but it's a little bit of a gathering of all the executive ranks. And it's fun to get them to all interact with all of the aftermarket folks that are there at our event, and the other brands that show up as well. So it's amazing.
And the cool thing is, you guys keep having Chris come out, even though he's going to talk to those people. So that's good.
I'm weak. It's a weakness. I just keep welcoming him back, and it's great to have him be part of it. In fact, last year, as you know, I put him on the spot and made him do some announcing and all kinds of things. So
you can't shut that guy up. He loves doing that.
He did great. It was loads of fun, and he really enjoyed himself. So we welcome him, and we love having Jeep Talk Show be a part of what we do. All of you are as authentic to the community as anybody. And in the end, let's face it, community is what we want and need. And it's really what makes this so cool. Mm-hmm. It's not just the off-roading, it's the storytelling and so on. And as I get older and older, I have a much greater appreciation for the community, as much as I do scaring the wits out of myself doing something sketchy.
It's fun to go off road. It's fun to have the Jeep. It's fun for them to be bright, new, and shiny, and the features and everything. But you're right. What it is it's really about the community. And just inadvertently, we created a Jeep Talk Show community here. And it was actually somebody that just mentioned, he goes, this is really a community that's been built, because I'm against clubs. I do not like clubs. And they'll tease me about it's the Jeep Talk Show Club. No, it's not. There's no treasurer. There's none of that BS drama that goes along with a lot of the clubs. We really like the community. So it's exactly right. So let me get back to the new management, where I think many of us that have been longtime lovers of Jeep were concerned about the direction Jeep was going. And now it seems that there's been a dramatic shift in how it's going to be run. Are you getting the feeling for that? Is that something that you think is going to be good? I mean, I don't necessarily need to make profits, but I kind of feel good if they were making profits, because I want spare parts in the future.
So a couple of things, and I'll speak pretty openly, and I always have been pretty open about this. Some of the direction that had a more European feel to it,
yes,
wasn't going to work out well in the American market.
Right.
I think that proved itself out. That's not me breaking news or saying things that are talking out of school or anything. It wasn't a great direction for the brand. The brand has a core group of enthusiasts, not that they need to be catered to, but they can't be pushed away.
Right.
And they can't be told that their stuff doesn't matter and that's not the direction anymore, and things like that. So it's great to see the enthusiast side of this make a comeback. It's great to see somebody like Tim Kuniskis kind of overseeing a lot of the brands going forward, because Tim's performance, street cred, love of all things enthusiast is unwavering and is so well known by all, and we think that's an incredible part of this, and it needs to get back to that core of being an enthusiast brand and being very aspirational in my eyes. And again, I don't get to make the decisions on any corporate level whatsoever. I do get to provide a bit of a platform through our events and through our other marketing stuff. But in the end, it's an enthusiast brand, and it has to be aspirational, even if you don't ever take your Wrangler, your Gladiator out and do these hardcore things like I might love to do.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to, but you'd like to have that ability. You want the Jeep to still maintain its Jeepness.
Yes. Jeepness. That's a great word to use. And I just before jumping on with you, I did an interview with the Detroit News, and one of the reporters from the Detroit News was asking, well, how many people actually take their vehicles off-road and all that? One of the biggest points I made, and one of the things that we're trying to do a great job with, is Off-Road 101. And that's welcoming new people. You've seen me on the trail out spotting and all that stuff, and that's fine. But welcoming new people into this amazing adventure lifestyle, that's the aspirational part of it. You bought the vehicle, let's go do the things. But let's go do things in a really safe and effective way. Tony, I'm sure you've heard people go, oh, well, I use mine as my daily driver and I can't wreck it. Well, no.
I understand it completely. My wife was telling me the same thing. First time I took the Gladiator to Moab.
And did we lead you astray?
No, of course not. I wasn't worried about it. I told her it'd be fine. And I said, that's part of Jeeping. Sometimes you get a scratch. Most of the time you don't.
Sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
So I think getting people past this idea of they're going to destroy their daily driver.
Is it possible? Yes. Is it highly unlikely? Yes.
It's also possible that they're going to get in a crash on their way to the office the next day.
Yeah, meteorite strike. You get hit by a meteorite.
you could.
Yeah.
Which would be a terrible outcome.
Yeah. But what a great interview for the podcast if they didn't die, though.
Yeah, right. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
But no, we need to welcome more people into this. Your listeners largely are going to be more toward core than they are brand new to.
Oh no, I think it's just the opposite. I think we cater to the newbies.
I love it.
Yeah, because they're making newbies all the time. And I think a lot of people are curious about Jeeps. They want one. They've wanted one all their whole life. And they drop $50,000, $60,000. And now the idea of going off-road, it's like, oh no. So we help them understand that a stock Jeep can do probably 85% of the trails out there. And there's always bypasses. There's always things you can do. And just getting out there, just on the dirt or on the rock, nothing other than, I mean, it's not even unlevel. It's just amazing to think you can go places where most people can't go.
Most people can't or won't. So I just love the idea of getting new people involved.
Yes.
Some of them are going to go all in and really become immersed in it and become really enthusiasts about it. Some people won't, and that's okay. They're still part of what we do, and we need to have opportunities for them to engage on all of those levels. And by the way, Jeep Talk Show or Jeep Talk Club, I think we need to think about this, Tony. It's the Jeep Talk cult. Let's do that. It's a cult.
I'm looking forward to the groupies. I'll just say that right up front.
There you go.
My problem is they'll be 70 or older and mainly men. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
You're on your own. So, anyway, we need to roll out the welcome to all of these new folks, make them feel welcome, at our events, at every event, at every kind of event, and then get them involved in the lifestyle and get them to enjoy some adventure. Last year, speaking of Warren, we helped out a bit with some spotting and trail guide stuff at Windrock, following the event, obviously Great Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion. I guess it's okay to say that.
Sure.
And like we thought initially, those guys said, I don't know, we could have like 40 people or something. Yeah, sure. It was a lot more. Lots of them were experienced off-roaders, but we guided a less experienced group. And there was some very stock vehicles and some people going, we'll never make it. We're not going to get through this. And you're like, yeah, you will. Come on. Just look at my eyes.
Oh, and just the look on their face whenever they've made it over the obstacle that they thought they were going to die on. It's just amazing.
Yes. It makes my heart go pitter patter when I see that stuff happen because. Sure.
Well, you were a newbie at one point yourself, and you get to revisit it. It's much like having children. You get to see the world from their eyes.
It was 146 years ago that I was a newbie, roughly. Wheels were still wood.
Yeah. So bringing you back to the Jeep leadership, how do you feel about the Jeep leadership? Are they getting it now? Have you been involved with them long enough to think that they're turning it around, that maybe we're going to see better prices? And I was going to mention earlier, I don't have any problem with Jeep making fancy vehicles. The Wagoneer, the Grand Wagoneer are fantastic vehicles. But I don't think that the Jeep brand needs to be a luxury brand. I think it needs to have the brand for the rednecks and people like me, and for the luxury. I think there's plenty of room there for both. Well,
there certainly is. And sometimes you can get a little bit lost in chasing profits, I think. And you look at Land Rover, Range Rover. You look at some of these other makers. You look at Mercedes G-Wagons. Go, holy cow, they're $200,000, and why aren't we in that market? There's got to be huge margins. And you can get a bit caught up in that. And I'm not suggesting that's what they did, but you still got to remember that core Jeep value. There's a 7-bar grill, there's off-road capability, and never lose sight of what that stuff looks like and what that means to that core group of people.
Right.
That are Jeep enthusiasts and the aspirational aspect of it, even if they're not going off-roading.
All right. So do you think the leadership has this in mind?
I think there's no question that
they're getting back to the core values.
they're getting back to core values. They're understanding the price value equation. They're acknowledging all of these things. Let's face it, and I'm not defending anybody here. We can all have strong opinions on some things.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of auto companies that, and I'll include Jeep and others in that, but there were a lot of auto companies that thought 2020, 2021 was the new normal, or at least they hoped that that was the new normal. Everybody would buy everything that you could possibly build for whatever price you wanted to charge for it. And anybody that's been around long enough, former auto dealer, former power sports dealer that I am, I knew that was not going to be a thing forever.
No.
It was not a fundamental shift. It was a huge bump.
This isn't a 10-season sci-fi show that was destined to end, and
yes.
So thankfully,
and it did. And now the market, like many things, a bit like a pendulum. The pendulum swings way over to one side, and then it tends to swing back over to the other side, and that's kind of the moment we're at now. I think that's kind of the moment that the industry as a whole is at. And now it's righting itself, and it's right-sizing itself, and prices are right-sizing themselves. Brand value is correcting. And Jeep, I could make a strong argument that Jeep may be the most valuable brand in all of automotive. Some people would say Porsche, some people would say Ferrari. I don't know, and there's probably good arguments for that too. But there's little question that Jeep has, if not one of the most powerful, one of the most recognizable, one of the most valuable brands. And they just got to remain true to what that brand means.
Right. And I've said this before. I probably said it to you last time we were doing an interview. I think that Jeep needs to come out with something like the Mahindra. And actually, I think Stellantis should have partnered with Mahindra and sold those things for golf carts. If nothing else, because it's very much the way the old Jeeps were, and it's less expensive than the ones they're making. And I understand that would hurt the bottom line, perhaps, on some of the Wrangler and Gladiator sales, but it's a nice wide range. I think it's the Shortcut that was a 2016 Jeep concept vehicle. It was just a very basic 2-door, no doors vehicle. I think it had a 3.6 in it. And open, and it was just a get off road for the least amount of money type thing. And I think they would have sold a boatload of those things. And it's not even like anything they would have to. I don't think anything that they would have to redesign anything. They just don't put a lot of shit on it.
Well, great point. And there's certainly a place for that. I'm not aware of some product that's coming out, but the value proposition has got to be there. And I think that that's a fantastic way to view that. Going back to your point about Roxor or about Mahindra, that's fine. The regulation environment, though, would never have allowed that to happen.
That's true.
And so to have made that into something that could be street legal would have taken that value proposition.
Hey, maybe it's not street legal. Maybe you use it on the ranch. Maybe you take it off road. Have you ever seen Henderson's Mahindra? Oh, that thing's amazing. I've never seen it in person. I've seen it in our Zoom meetings and stuff, though, in pictures. So it's really cool.
There's possibilities galore in that regard for a value priced vehicle, soft top only, very basic. Let's not have every gigaw bell and whistle. It doesn't need 44s. It doesn't need all the stuff, but just a fundamental level of capability, some vinyl seats, and off you go. That's my memory of Jeeps from back when I got my first one, was CJ5, CJ7 days. When I said 146 years, I'm actually not way back.
Oh, 130 is more realistic. So I agree.
But certainly CJ era. And yeah, you got the basics. That's how they came. And it was great.
So you mentioned that Jeep is probably one of the most important brands out there of all the manufacturers, and this kind of dovetails into the other thing I wanted to talk to you about. Definitely not Jeep related, but automotive related, and it's changing technology. I'm a Tesla stock owner, so I've been following Tesla for a while. I watch a lot of YouTube videos and about Tesla, people talking about Teslas, and they keep talking about the stock going up, and it doesn't. But that's fine. It's a long-term investment for me. And but the thing that surprises me a lot about the Tesla is they're doing like what I'm talking about doing Jeep with making something simple, and they're doing that with electric vehicles. I mean, they're basically making you remember the Hot Wheels?
Yeah.
They're basically pressing these things in a big press so that they have like one piece, and they add a couple of things onto it, and a motor here and a motor there, and a big battery pack. And it is amazing how they are simplifying this. And I don't see any other auto manufacturer doing this. And I think that is ultimately going to make Tesla a much cheaper and better built system. Now add on top of that, I mean, it's fine if you're just making a car, you're making a new Hot Wheels, and it goes around on electric motors. This is very much like some of the stuff I played with when I was a kid. I just didn't ride in it. Now add on top of that the AI generated full self-driving. And they're moving to unsupervised full self-driving. In fact, I don't know if you caught this or not. They made a delivery to a customer in Texas. The car drove itself to the purchaser's house, and so you're going to see a massive change. I don't see any other auto manufacturers doing this. I'm sure they're working on it in the back end, but my question is Jeep going to be left behind because they're not, I mean, they're big into adding stuff on, but they're not doing some of the things that are going to be transformational, I feel, in our world. I recently wrote a story, posted up on LinkedIn about you take your full self-driving tow rig and tell it to go to Moab, and you attach a trailer to it in the Jeep, and it drives there. You jump on a plane. You fly out to Moab, no 20 hours, maybe 3 or 4. You fly out there, you meet your tow rig and your Jeep. You take the Jeep off the trailer, you drive around, have fun. You're still doing the Jeep thing, but now you don't have all that time invested in the traveling. And I'm afraid, I mean, to me, a Ford full-size Ford pickup would be a great tow rig. But right now, the only thing that's full self-driving is a Cybertruck. And the Cybertrucks just piss people off. I don't know why. I got a couple of comments on there about that. I would rather walk the 20 hours, I think, as one person said, to Moab.
There is that.
And I'm not a Cybertruck fan or anything. It's not really a truck to me. It's just a car shaped more. It's like an El Camino to me. It's not really a truck. But I can see a time coming where internal combustion engine vehicles, there's no reason why they can't be full self-driving. I mean, they're just using cameras. Tesla's just using cameras to see, and AI to decide on the local computer what should be done. You see what I'm getting at here? It's a technology that I think is going to be transformational, and I'm afraid Jeep's going to get left behind because they're not working to this aspect. I mean, if you can buy a vehicle that you can sleep in, and while it's driving, and get to your destination, or not have to deal with traffic because that's what the car is doing. I mean, come on. It's like a no-brainer. Hey, Jeepers, Tony from the Jeep Talk Show here. In a world full of posers and pavement princesses, you're the real deal. You just don't own a Jeep. You live the Jeep life. But authentic adventures come with authentic risks, and your windshield shouldn't pay the price. Windshield Defense by Racing Optics is authentic as your adventures. Made in the USA, race tested for over 25 years, and built by people who actually understand what trail rated means. It's not just protection, it's a respect for the journey. When rocks fly and branches scrape, just peel off the outer layer and you're back with a perfect view of whatever's next. Because real adventures don't let anything, not weather, not terrain, not flying debris, stop them from exploring. Stay authentic. Stay protected. Save 20% off with code JTS20 at windshieldefense.com. Free shipping anywhere in the U.S. That's windshieldefense.com for those who earned their dirt. Windshield Defense, the clear choice.
So here, let me provide a bit of a counterpoint.
Good.
One, the highway infrastructure simply does not exist. And let me preface all of this with, I earlier in the year spent a good bit of time with some folks from SEMA in Washington, D.C., and so on, because a mandate is very different than a consumer choice.
Yes.
If people choose to buy EVs, I think that's fantastic. And I like them in many cases. They work effectively. They do lots of things really well. But there isn't infrastructure. Ask Sean Holman about trying to charge his EV in Orange County, arguably the home of EV acceptance. And it's a constant struggle. And they won't take their EVs to various things because they can't. Sean was with us in Washington, D.C. as well, by the way. And so when you look at the infrastructure that isn't out there, and the fact that the infrastructure that is out there, in many cases, is not operating properly.
Yeah, it's broken.
It's broken. And there's no cures instantly for that. 20 years from now, will it be better? Of course.
Yeah.
There's no question that it will be. But is electric the solution? And we're going to circle back to self-driving and all of that. But is electric the solution for that? Maybe it's part of a solution. Maybe that's a city vehicle, and it affords an effective solution for very short hops.
Yeah,
the
local.
only place that you would have to charge it is at your home, and you can do that. But the other part of this is too many people are wrapped up in this idea that, well, it has to be mandated because that's going to save the earth. And I'm exaggerating, so I get it.
Oh, no, I agree with you. I think that's very accurate.
It's not going to save the earth.
No.
The emissions don't save that much. The things that are associated with harvesting the necessary source minerals.
Oh, yeah.
Some people call them conflict minerals because they come from areas where maybe are war-torn and maybe labor practices.
Well,
that
is even conflict for the
place.
environment because they could be very unfriendly to the environment collecting those things. No, you're absolutely right.
And then add to that the disposal of it. So all of those things, I think, conspire to make EVs not a practical choice in this moment, unless you work 8-10 miles away. You can use that to drive to work. I think that's fantastic. You can charge when you get home. You only have to charge once a week or, twice a week or whatever. I think that's amazing. And it's fantastic. And there's now some EVs out there that work just great, whether you want to pick Tesla or Ford Mach-E or, for that matter, Kia and Hyundai have, choices that are available. So I think all that's really good. Does Jeep get left behind? I hope so. Because Jeep needs to maintain its presence as an enthusiast vehicle. And I'm speaking specifically to Wrangler and Gladiator. 4xe has been very successful. Is that the perfect EV solution? Of course it is not, but it is part of an answer. And I think the other part of this is at some level, we don't need to jump off a political cliff, but at some level, federal subsidies can't be a thing forever, and they aren't going to be now.
Right.
So at what moment do we have a real acknowledgement of what the consumer wants to do? Because the consumer is ultimately the decider of things. And that includes, do they buy a Wrangler Rubicon or a Wrangler Sport? Is there an interest in an EV? A couple of the EV things that Jeep has coming are super effective and very nice to look at. Those were already in the pipeline.
Yeah, I think like Recon. I think the Recon's a pretty nice, looking little vehicle. And I believe they made a change to that where it was going to be only EV, but because of the things that were going on politically and with the government, now they have a wide range. I think internal, also including the internal combustion engine, which I think it's the way to do it. Consumer choice, just like you said.
Well, I think it's also interesting because we're now using other brand names. I think it's interesting that Toyota took a position like, nah, we're not all in on that. We're not going all in on that. We're going to look at all of the ways that are out there, which is inclusive of hybrid, much like a Wrangler 4xe. We're going to look at what's available in the hydrogen space. We're going to look at all of these alternatives that are out there, many of which happen to be cleaner than a traditional ICE. But a question that I ask frequently, and people smarter than me ask this question frequently, where would the ICE engine be if the same billions of dollars were invested in ICE that ended up being invested in EV? And how clean, how efficient, how fuel sipping could they be? I think they're pretty amazing in their current form when you look at some
Lord,
of the
horsepower that's available now. I remember back in the late 70s, where if you got 300 horsepower out of a 350, you were doing really good. You were really something.
Let's use Corvette as an example. That's held up as kind of the American icon in terms of performance car. Late 70s, early 80s, a Corvette was 185 horsepower.
Wow.
What? That's a Corvette?
Yeah.
It was terrible. And it was a slug to boot, not even a good 185. Mm-hmm. And so you look back on that stuff, you're right. 300 horsepower is like, no way. That thing's got 300 horsepower. Now everything's got 300 horse.
Yeah.
So
it's a good point.
Best of times.
And also, I'll just make this point again for the full self-driving conversation. You do not have to have electric vehicle for full self-driving.
Of course not.
If Tesla is concerned about making driving 10 times safer because now the vehicle is making the decisions for you, why would you not want to have that technology in internal combustion engines? Are those people, are they too stupid? Are they killing the planet and now they need to be weeded out? So we're not going to give them full self-driving. You see what I'm saying? I mean, obviously there has to be some controls. I mean, if you're not doing a drive-by-wire and don't have connection to all the parts on the vehicle, those things would have to be put in, but that's all technically possible. So there's no reason why you couldn't have a Ford F-250 that was full self-driving using the same technology that Tesla's doing if it was licensed to Ford or if it was licensed to Jeep. And this is what I'm talking about. I think this technology is something that is going to happen with manufacturers, because if you have if you can either be driven, I mean, obviously you can decide if you want to drive or not. If you remember the movie I, Robot, where Will Smith took over the car at 300 miles an hour. And the pastor says, "Are you crazy?"
Yeah.
But Will's a man, damn it. I'll drive.
Yeah. Come on. I think, to your point about how awesome would it be to send your self-driving vehicle out to Moab, towing your trailer, and you just show up at Moab.
Oh, you're a millionaire. You're just like a millionaire at that point. I'm going to fly in.
It would be awesome. I love it. The issue that exists is, where does it fuel up? How does it recharge? How does it do all of those things? Obviously, I know it doesn't need sleep like us. For any of us that do that run out to Moab, out to Colorado, out to Utah, well, for me, 2 or 3 times, 4 times a year from Detroit, for sure, I get it.
Yeah.
I don't love that drive. But that said, I don't know how you would get something that's self-driving to charge itself or fuel itself and do all the things. But technology, it's amazing.
So I don't want to get too deep off into this area thing, and Tesla hasn't put it into production yet, but they bought a German company that does inductive charging.
Yeah.
So the van that they were using for this company would just pull over the pad, and it's just like, like you do your phone, putting in the inductive charger. It's not as efficient as being plugged in. Yep. And the other answer to that is Optimus robots, which is another thing that's coming out, and robots in general are coming out. So you literally could have a robot in the vehicle, and then it goes and plugs it in. Now, if it can find a charger or not, and I mean, I'm sure people be on their phone going, "Where the hell's my Jeep? Where the hell's my Jeep?"
Why is it way over there?
It would be nervous. Could you imagine having 2 very expensive vehicles traveling across country by itself? And
that'd be so good.
Yeah, and the other option to that is that if you're really cheap, you can just sleep in the vehicle. You don't have to. You don't have to. It's just you 20+ hours straight through. I mean,
I would be a bundle of nerves.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Right? I mean, and this is obvious. I mean, can you imagine people that came over from the east to the west in Conestoga wagons? And if they were told that you would be driving vehicles that were 6 feet apart, closing at 120 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's this technology.
It is. And look, selfishly, I hope there is something like that. It would be great. I'd never have to hire a guy to drive my truck out and tow my rig or do any of that stuff. That'd be fantastic.
It would be like we are all multimillionaires and we had a staff. And I just think that, and maybe Jeep's working on this. I haven't heard anything about it, but I think that these companies better start licensing this technology. And I don't think Waymo has the technology with the LiDAR and stuff. I think Tesla has the ultimate technology, and it all goes back to AI, figuring out to this stuff. They don't know how it works. I don't think they know how the self-driving stuff works. It just works.
In the end, what I never want to lose touch with, and I hope that Jeep and enthusiast brands in general will never lose touch with, is the driving experience.
Oh, yeah.
And when we do these Off-Road 101 courses, the first thing we do is say, turn off all those nannies. You got to learn how to do this the real way.
Exactly.
If you choose to use hill descent, whatever it might be, okay, we'll have that conversation later. But first, you need to know the feel. You got to have a feel. How does this feel when you're doing these things? What is slip? How does that look? All of these things. So I hope that humans, us, will never lose touch with the excitement and the thrill of going and doing real off-roading, taking our Jeeps out and doing really fun off-roading things. And yeah, sometimes scaring the heeber-jeebers out of ourselves, going up or down something or across something or, whatever that might be. I just find that to be the rewarding piece, and it's amazing.
Driving even on the road is a fun thing to do. Not having to do it all the time, though, would be nice. Because there's times whenever you just don't feel like it, and especially when there's traffic. I think this is a critical bit that a lot of the manufacturers seem to me not to be addressing, and I think they need to. And if they don't, it's going to be bad for them in the long run. Because Tesla and other vehicles, the manufacturers that license the Tesla full self-driving technology are going to leapfrog, in my opinion. So anyway, and also too, in the story that I wrote, it wasn't about not taking the Jeep off-road. It was just about using the technology to get the Jeep to where it needed to be. And actually the Jeep could have driven itself as well. But obviously there is a refueling issue, even with ICE vehicles. I mean, there's plenty of places to fill up, but how do you get the nozzle into the Jeep?
That's why we need a robot.
Yeah.
In the meantime, to tell you a really rewarding story that kind of evolved over the last couple of years, Karen Bailey Chapman, who heads up all the government affairs stuff for SEMA, is an enthusiast of things that lacked a ton of experiences. And she came out to Moab with us. We took her out. She was pretty nervous about a number of things. We may have put her into some circumstances that made her nervous. It was fantastic. And then last year, she also competed in our West Virginia Hillfest event in her sports car. Mm-hmm. And to me, those are some of the most rewarding things when I see three parts to this. When I see a person without a great deal of experience come out and do the things, then I see somebody in a very high level position within our industry that's out there doing the hard work on the daily, that is a genuine enthusiast and wants to do the things. And last but not least, not part of the good old boys club. It's a girl who's like, no, I got this, be patient with me, show me, spot me. And this year, the way that she operated on trail was something that was entirely different than the year before. She's got a confidence. She's got a little bit of pep in her step. And she's like, that still makes me a little bit nervous, but I got this.
That's good.
It's just wonderful. And so I commend, and there's dozens of other stories like that, but that one is very visible within the industry. And so we love to see that kind of thing happen where we have people that are genuine enthusiasts in the industry, not just doing a job. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you get this situation where people are making decisions and they have no real world experience. Even from an enthusiast perspective, they don't get it. And I think we've seen a lot of trail closures like in Moab because of this. These people, they don't want people to go out there. People are going to mess it up. Well, have you gone out there? Have you gone on a hike? Have you taken a bicycle out there? Have you been in a Jeep? You know, and then when that happens, I think it gives them a better perspective on things. So yeah, perspective, I think, really helps the decision making.
Yeah. I'm going to put on my tread lightly hat for just a minute. It's such a critical role that all the organizations that are out there helping protect and keep open our public lands. That's certainly been in the news an awful lot with everything that happened recently on that in the BBB, and then just those organizations that are trying to do, whether it's a cleanup, whether it's trail signs, or there is a place. It's not the place of tread lightly, but there are places for other organizations when legal action needs to be taken, and there's a spot for that as well.
Yep.
All of those things need to be done, but I think one of the most important things is the educational element. And when we do welcome new people in, teach them a bit about the trail etiquette part, teach them a little bit about why it's so important that we work with people to keep these trails open, keep our recreation places open, and what all that means. So I love that piece.
Mm-hmm. All right, Tom, we're going to wrap up here. You need to get on to bigger and better things. And I told you I was going to, not that you were asking me to, but I told you I know that you're busy and I was going to make sure I kept an eye on the time. Before we wrap up, and of course, add anything on here that you wanted to cover before we leave. But you mentioned Sean Holman. And of course, many of us were very concerned for Sean, and I'll just say more so for his daughter than him. But we're very concerned about the accident that he had going to Easter Jeep Safari this year. If you have, do you have any information on Sean? Have you spoken to him? I mean, I've seen the post that he's made, and that he and his daughter are out of the hospital and doing well, and really miraculously, considering the crash that happened. And Sean is the Truck Show podcast. If you guys aren't aware of it, so you can go over there and I'm sure find out lots of information. Do we know what happened? Because I mean, that 392 which is just so sad in itself, just completely totaled.
Yeah, who cares? Who cares about Sean and his daughter?
Well, you can't.
He wrecked a 392 for goodness sake.
It was torn up so bad you can't even ask about, are you going to part it out? You know, that's whatever all the Jeepers do.
Yeah, true friends that we are. That's great.
Yeah, I know.
But no, in all seriousness, it's his story to tell, of course.
Right.
But obviously the injuries were of great consequence. Thank goodness not dire, and thank goodness not in this case, a life-threatening situation, but dire nonetheless. And so it seems as though his recovery is coming along. He and his daughter both. Their recovery is coming along very nicely. And I think that you'll see Sean back in the mix very soon. Obviously, a huge blessing that's the way that went, rather than a much different outcome.
Oh, which, yeah. Could easily have gone that way. Yes.
Yeah, it could have been very different than that. So I think everybody, all of the friends and all of the colleagues around the industry are really grateful that it turned out the way it did. And I might mention some folks down in the greater Austin Hill Country stuff. God bless all those folks.
Oh, yes.
It's a horrible tragedy. I know that there's a lot of people that are out there trying to help with rescue efforts. I know there's a lot of colleagues from the off-road space that are trying to help with rescue efforts out there. And it's just, it's terrible to see those things, terrible to see those natural disasters that unfortunately just can't be predicted or handled. Right.
Well, you actually were working with the Hidden Falls Adventure Park about doing an event out there, and saw recently, yes, the Hidden Falls are not hidden. The falls are running right now. I posted up on
I got a video. Yeah, the falls are anything except hidden. The falls are falling in every direction.
But they have multiple trails closed at Hidden Falls right now because of all that rain. Because they're in the Marble Falls area. They're not in. I'm forgetting what's not Kirksville. I can't remember the name of it now. I'm brain farting. It's so funny. You get on here, and no matter how much I do this, I still get nervous about when I'm doing the show and talking. but the area that took all the damage. So it's actually widespread. We have some people in Austin. They're just fine. I mean, they got some rain, but yeah. So you just never know in Texas. I mean, I tell people don't put steps on your Jeep because you may get hung up. Oh, I'm not going to go off road. Well, okay, fine. What if you're involved in a flood or a natural disaster? Do you really want that Jeep not to be able to go over in things that could save your life? So with that, I will say the same thing that I always say. You know how the kids love the social media, Tom. How can they find you? We've mentioned forfestevents.com, which is a great site to go to, especially if you're in would you say the Detroit area would be the thing where for the Detroit Forfest, you have the Winterfest, the Snowfest, the Mudfest are all there?
Some years it's all of those things at one time.
Of course.
Ask Chris. Forfestevents.com for sure. Forfest Events on Instagram, same on Facebook. We just love getting everybody engaged. Obviously, our next big one is September 5 and 6 with Detroit Forfest. So really excited to welcome Jeep back, of course, and then welcome right now almost 100 other sponsoring and vending companies that are joining us. And it's essentially the who's who from around the off-road industry is going to be there, and always grateful for all of that support. And we love hosting events that people come to go off-roading, and we give all of those amazing marketing partners and sponsors the opportunity to show their stuff off in the real world, not in a convention center, but we're going out there on that trail. Let's go see what this stuff will do.
Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful. And Chris enjoys it so much every year. And we really appreciate you having us out there. All right, Tom, thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'll let you get to your other meetings.
Tony, thank you so much. It's great to be here. Let's go. Jeep Talk Show. See you soon.
Broadcasting since 2010.
You're my friend. You're my new friend.